What a great race in the 65th running of the Daytona 500. There was some controversies. Let's start with the first one. There was so many commercial breaks. It felt like every 8 laps they were going to commercial. And it was like we missed so much of the race due to commercials. Really got me mad at one point. Later on, there was a crash in stage 2 that once they cut to commercial side by side, the wreck happened. And that really got me mad. And early in stage 1, it was really calm. There was a lot of the 2 train racing on the top and bottom 20 rows deep, and there was like no passing until green flag pit stops, and Christopher Bell was the first one to make a move up into the top and stayed there until green flag pit stops, where we saw the Fords peel off first. And yeah, so the Chevys went second, and like every single thing was sponsored. Like every 5 laps, they were to go to like Wendy's cam on Noah Gragson, and Riley Herbst in the 15 spun entering pit road. And also like later in the race, there was like this Toyota All Out. Everything seemed like it was sponsored, and there was like took away so much from the race. And yeah, I did not like that. And they did not catch this on the Fox broadcast while they were at commercials. It was when Bubba Wallace got turned from Martin Truex Jr. Thankfully, he was able to continue with just 1 lap down without causing a massive crash that could end many cars' days. Over here, I thought it was going to be way worse. I thought he was going to get... Good thing they were close to the wall. And to end stage number 1, it was all thanks to AJ Allmendinger, who decided just to go right in the middle to hold everyone up, just so he could get the free pass over Bubba Wallace, and it worked. So Brad Keselowski will make a move, and if he made it earlier like Almirola, he would not win this stage. It's like the Toyotas of Truex and Hamlin didn't even try to make the block on Keselowski, but Keselowski and Fords were just so much faster than everyone else today, but they did not get the results to show for it, except in the stages. So like Keselowski, Preece out front, as well as Christopher Buescher, as they went down to the line. So yeah, stage 1 was really calm, not much passing. It was really hard to make that third line work most of the race. I don't really think it's besides like I never saw more than like 2 or 3 laps with like 10 to go where they were 3 wide. And when they were 3 wide, they just lost complete connection from the pack. So in stage 2, things started picking up. We saw a lot of Fords like Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski just on the top lane pulling away. We've seen drivers like Ryan Blaney up towards the front at points. The Fords were the fastest cars today, followed by the Toyotas and the Chevys. Like, Hamlin was not that fast, but Truex and Bell seemed really quick, especially Bell in his duels on Thursday. But like the fast Chevys were like Kyle Busch, William Byron, and like Jimmy Johnson was one of the faster Chevys, as well as Kyle Larson. But here, this crash, Tyler Reddick got a bump from the 4, and 12 got spun into the fence. So did the 45. Larson took a slide. Elliott gets destroyed by the 43, and a 99 into the outside wall. And this race, this caution happened under commercial, right when they switched to commercial. It was like, really. And then 45 just overcorrected into the outside wall. And now back to the restart. Logano back out front, in front of Martin Truex Jr. Them two have been really quick in this race, and coming to the end of the stage, it was just no one could make much moves. It was just they had to stay in line. If you were 5th, 6th in line, you were basically like stuck there, and Chastain will win the stage. Bowman would have won it if Austin Cindric wouldn't try to make a 3-wide move that completely stalled their momentum and gave it to Ross. Now into stage 3, Bubba Wallace would take the lead in front of Eric Almirola, but Bubba Wallace wouldn't stay out front. His car was noticeably slower than most of the field. He was getting huge shoves from like whoever was behind him. He wouldn't get really loose, and there was this big crash with 19 to go on February 19th. The 19 car, in its 19th try, crashes. This all started from about a big push from like, I think it was like Almirola, or was he the one that got pushed? I don't know. But then they all stacked up and crashed into the outside wall. This crash took out a lot of Stewart-Haas racing cars, a lot of Fords, and that 19 of Martin Truex Jr., as well as Michael McDowell, and in his final Daytona 500, Kevin Harvick. And yeah, I thought the 19 of Truex had a really fast car today. It was a shame for him to be wrecked out of this race. Same with Ryan Preece. As Harrison Burton looked like he was going to take command of this race, his car was not as fast as Joey Logano's though. But then it started getting crazy with like 12 laps to go. They were pushing so hard. They were going 3 wide, and yeah. So then like there was moves being made every lap, every corner, and then they all got strung out. And they were like 3 wide that stalled all the momentum on the top, which put them all single file to the finish. And Harrison Burton almost got turned by Kyle Busch, and that almost wrecked like half the field. And then this is where they all get like single file. Logano goes 3 wide in the back, loses all his momentum as the RCR boys versus the RFK boys for the lead, and RCR cars took the lead with about coming to 3 ago, and I thought that RCR was just going to run away with this race. I think it was going to be like the summer Daytona race where Dillon would just block for Reddick, for Kyle Busch, but Suarez gets turned by Jimmy Johnson, and you see the caution came out like while he was halfway sideways. So that was a controversial moment. They really wanted a caution to come out. But also, this part I did not like from Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon to start side by side instead of being 1-2 on the bottom, which held up their momentum, which gave them enough time for the 22 of Joey Logano and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the top lane just to roll around them. So Byron was trying to get the bottom moving. He gave a huge shove to the 3, and there was a massive crash with a total of 13 cars being involved. Massive accident in this race. The biggest crash of all in this race. But in the final restart, it looked to shape up like an all-time classic finish between Kyle Larson, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Joey Logano, and Christopher Bell, as Kyle Busch and Alex Bowman behind them. I thought the outside was just going to completely demolish the inside, as only Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell were the only two on the inside for another 5 car lengths. There was Alex Bowman or the 23 of Bubba Wallace. And then the 47 got out to a massive lead. I thought this was the end for Stenhouse. I thought Larson probably should not have gone to the middle, and then he just gets destroyed by Travis Pastrana, who gets turned by the 10, and massive accident, which gives Ricky Stenhouse Jr. the Daytona 500 win, and this will get him in to the playoffs. I will rate this race a 93 out of 100. It was really solid, a lot of great racing in the first half, and it really chaotic in the last quarter of the race. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this year's Daytona 500. It was better than last year's, and see you guys in the next video and another race review at Fontana.